The past few days have been harrowing at best. This week has been incredibly difficult, full of ups and downs. After 2 months of COVID-19 and quarantines, the tinder box of humanity is terrifying to behold. Not because of what anybody could ever expect, but just because when you're oppressed in the middle of a hardship, there is no way to deal with the level of hurt and suffering that is imposed. And people have borne for years and years, and my grandfathers and their grandfathers. It is overwhelming. And so I have prayed for a solution. I have prayed for a way forward, because this cannot continue. And I believe that I have an answer. And it wounds me because it feels so simple. And yet I have never had it before. But I would ask you to listen to this idea and to share it and to get behind and champion it. If we can do this, I think we can find a way forward. We can put an end to the injustice that we are all standing together and fighting against. It is not a political thing. Injustice is something that cannot exist for anyone if you are to have a society. Trevor Noah had a great video where he talked about the civil contract being broken, the societal contract. And what I propose is a new contract that includes an aspect in our government and in our judiciary system that has never existed before. And I believe that this will change the way that we are able to function. This will remove the fear. It'll take away the unnecessary judgment of people who are not doing wrong. It will, on all sides, it can alleviate this suffering that seems so impossible to get to the heart of. And I call it the civil ally, or the civilian ally. And the concept is that there would be an act or a law put in place that allows a person, any civilian, witnessing a crime or an arrest or an interaction with the authorities. If that person is unarmed, they are allowed to risk themselves, to come between themselves and the police, and to oversee that arrest and help that person either into the car or take them themselves in their car with the cop as an escort to the station and walk through the process with the person. Not only will they be allowed to do that, but that's a protected position. They are allowed to claim that. Like they said, they have to be unarmed and they have to be witnessing the process, and at any point they can step in and do that. Because how many times, if there was just protection for a person to step in, because we are videotaping these events and we are not able to stop them, how many times would we have been able to interrupt and prevent it from ever occurring simply by being in between the cop, the arrestor, the authority, and the person that is being taken? So all we need to do is be their ally, the civilian ally, the civil ally. And that may mean getting in the car with them and getting them with them and take them to the station. And then the next part of it is actually crucial, because yes, that will protect lives, but the civilian ally needs to be a justice person. They need to be part of the system in the way that an expert witness, at the level of an expert witness, is a part of the system for a police officer. Because currently, right now, there are no equals in the testimony of an officer and then an individual and then the people around it. You need so many witnesses to overturn or to counter a testimony from an authority in the situation. And yet, if we can treat a civilian ally who was there and witnessed the event with the equivalence of that same thing, and who's willing to stop their whole life to go with that person and to make sure that they're safe, and then to come into the police station to put their name down as a civilian ally, and then to be called upon in the court of law as an expert witness, and they are treated as such by the judiciary system, we can actually change this, because there will be accountability, and there will be the equivalency of a live, real-time ability to jump in and respond to injustice. And it is not convenient, it is not easy, but giving people this title and this ability and the power, and creating an act either through Congress or the Senate in some way, shape, or form to make this into law, so that civilian allies can be there to protect people when under arrest. It won't matter what the color of anybody's skin is. It doesn't matter their situation. It can be homeless people that they could look like any. It doesn't matter what the situation. All of a sudden, somebody who has no representation in a moment, when the powers that be could choose to harm them, will suddenly have somebody who can give representation, care, and stand in the gap and offer humanitarian care to that person and protection by enacting the civil ally. It seems too easy, I understand, but I don't see any other way of doing it that would not completely disrupt our system as it is. This can go within the system as it's set up. And if that position is esteemed and it can be acted upon by any person, and that the only requirements for a civilian ally are to have witnessed or be witnessing the arrest or activity that has occurred, they can step in, and they must be unarmed. So to witness it and to be unarmed. Those are the two things. So the civilian ally is doing the verse that is close to my heart. Is greater man has no greater love than this, that he should lay down his life for his friends. Because what we need to do now is make it possible for everyday people to stand in the gap and make sure that we as America, we take up the mantle. We take up the mantle of justice. We take up the mantle of living out these things, these values that we have, to care for others and to treat people fairly. And we do not allow oppression of anyone that we know. Anyone that we know. This will allow us to accomplish this. This will make it possible for us not to just say Black Lives Matter, but us to stand up and do it. And the thing that's really crucial here is that the civil ally cannot be charged, because they're unarmed, and they will call and interrupt without using any force. The cop is required to relinquish and allow them to help the person into the vehicle. We can work out all the details. We can work out what they need to do when they get to the station. We can work out what they need to do for the regard to the court case and all those things. We have to work out all those details. I agree. There are things that have to be done there, but there is no other way. There's no amount of training that is going to remove this challenge for the officers, because there are officers that do a great job and have nothing to do with this abuse. And there are officers that get caught up in a moment and maybe have never done it before and do something horrible that they didn't understand. There just needs to be a way for that to never happen again. There needs to be a way for us to live in community. We need to make a new contract that we as the civilian population are going to be the safeguard. Because in America, that was what was supposed to happen. We're supposed to be the safeguard for the government, for the authorities, for the justice system. We are the safeguard. We are not asking others to do it. We are telling them it needs to be done because it is our country. And there are wrongs that need to be righted, but the only way to do that is to give the power to the people who are willing to risk their lives to do so. And that is what the civilian ally, as an act or a legal standing position, could make possible. I'm going to work on trying to find a way forward with it. I'm going to do everything I can. But can everybody hashtag civil ally, hashtag civilian ally? Let us start the process of this conversation. Let us get this to Congress. Let us get this to the Senate. Let us make this change. Let us change our nation right now so that we can free it from this tinderbox of hate and terror that is going to eat us alive if we do not do the thing that only we can do, which is lay down our lives sacrificially to protect one another and stand hand in hand and say we are writing a new contract for our society, for our civilization, and we will uphold it. We have forgotten, we lost sight, and we will amend it, and we will adjust it so that we care for everyone and not just some people. Thanks for listening. Let's change it.